Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome to this episode of School Business Tech. Today, I'm going to be talking with Adam Watson of Every, who's going to share his theory of the 4 pillars of school operations: budget, resources, processes, and systems. If school budgets are fixed and resources are limited by budget, then process and systems are the only 2 pillars that can be adjusted. We're going to discuss if school business professionals actually question themselves enough around their operational efficiency, and are there any other limiting factors that need to be considered when striving for maximum efficiency? What roles does technology play in all of this operational perfection? If poor systems are going to cause you pain and good systems are going to create joy, what's the best way to identify systems that are going to make a positive difference to school business professionals? Adam's got a long history in education. His involvement with the education sector stems right back to the late 90s when schools were bidding for their specialist status. During the Blair period, he was actually directly involved in providing school data and asset plans such as conditions, suitability and sufficiency. And then he moved to be a director of a company in 2003, providing asset management planning software to local authorities who were managing their school portfolios. Whilst there, he actually worked with a gent called Ian Bond, who's actually now his co-founding partner of Every, having started the company from scratch in November 2010. Good afternoon, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm very well. It's a bit like This Is Your Life, isn't it, Ryan?
It is definitely. It's an intense kind of introduction. We just bam, like get everyone up to speed and what we're going to be talking about today. Well, it's the internet. Nobody's really got any time for anything, so we've got to be short and succinct, shall we say?
That's good.
But thanks a lot for coming on today. Really appreciate it. So we're going to kick off with our first question, if we can. Can you explain to me in a bit more detail about the 4 pillars of school operations?
Well, I'll try. I mean, you very succinctly put it across to the audience right there and then. But I've given presentations around school operation management for the best part of 15 years now, particularly to schools, MATs and academies in the education sector, particularly in England. And it seems to me that the 4 sort of pieces to the puzzle, if you like, the 4 slices of the pie tend to be around budget, what money you have, and where you can allocate it, which is largely fixed, although you've got some movement. But really, schools are not much in control of the budgets they get. They're given it, and and that's they have to work with what they've got. Resources kind of are linked to budgets, aren't they? You have staff members who might have been there for a long time, and I know when staff members retire, sometimes I can give you some flexibility in resources, but for the large part, again, resources are kind of fixed. And you are again, constrained or required to provide a certain number of educational hours to pupils. So again, that drives the resources side of things. So the only 2 things you really got to play with is is what systems you have, what technology you employ, and the way you do things. That's the only 2 things you've got. And that's really the focus of a lot of my talks. Is if you look at what you do from a process point of view, think of it from a point of view of, is this taking me far too long to do, and is there a better way of doing it? And I do remember a case in point of going to this was actually a local authority, the largest local authorities in Europe, and I remember watching somebody print off from Excel a cleaning schedule from a school, and proceeded to get an 18-inch ruler out and then draw the grid lines on this piece of paper. And I was thinking, does that person not realize you can actually tick a button in the Excel export and actually print the grid lines off? And I just remember there, that's where tech can really help. But you have to be aware or self-aware to say, I'm busy but I don't feel very productive. There must be a better way of doing this. And I think we as a sector can really challenge ourselves about this should be taking us a lot less than it actually is, so I can get on with other things or answer questions that people are asking. So I could go on.
No, and I mean, I think it's a very elegant kind of metaphor how you've structured this out, and I think you're absolutely right. I tend to find, and we all do that, right? If you're kind of like, this is really painful, surely there must be an easier way. That is a natural cue in my head to go, I need to look this up and try and find a better way, because surely I cannot be the only person in the world who's experiencing this and thinks this is ridiculous. And 99 times out of 100, I'm not. There's normally a better way, but you've kind of got to be naturally inquisitive to look for those answers and structure it out. So, and as you said, technology has a big role to play in this, and being aware of technology. But can you just expand on that a little bit more for me? You know, around the kind of systems and processes, where a school business professional is going to get the value out of technology? What are the things that are going to make the big difference?
I mean, that's that's a really, really good question. And sometimes I kind of refer to one of the things that is two customers of ours. I've been a customer for a long, long time, and almost ever since we started back in 2010. And one of them said that the software you provide and the way you go about providing it is the scratch to the itch that every school has, which I couldn't have put it any other way. It's brilliant.
I like that.
And another one which made me think as well was really reflect on it was I didn't know there was a solution to this till it was shown to me. And I think that's symptomatic again of people are in the moment dealing with very, very busy lives and competing demands on their energies and attention. Sometimes it's really, really difficult to step back and think, this is what's happening. Even for my own personal life, as we're working from home a lot more, I'm finding now I used to do 3 meetings a day when I was traveling. Actually, I'm doing 8, 9, 10 meetings a day now, back to back. And sometimes it doesn't give you the time to think, actually, what is happening in my day? Is it the most efficient? But just looking at a piece of software we use from Microsoft that allows you, it tells you how much focus time you have available, and you should be giving yourself time to reflect on things and focus. So now you switch it on and it blocks days, the periods of my day out that are empty at the minute for the next week, and gives me that time to focus, which is a fantastic way that technology helps us to give us a break from the breakneck speed we're all working at. And I think the other thing as well is that sometimes that often actually the right technology can show us things in a way that would take us a long time to analyze. So a good example, is if I look at what we do with Every, we now have 2.5 million problems logged in the software. And I know just through a very, very quick query on the data that most issues around toilet problems happen in September, but actually the other one is in January. And you're thinking, well, actually, if we know that, then rather than dealing with the spike in toilet issues that mean that toilets are unavailable or it creates a lot of mess that we then have to clean up and disruptive, if we knew that in advance, couldn't we plan for that? And by planning for it, you're preempting it. By preempting it, then you're minimizing the disruption. So that's where technology can really help.
Yeah, and I guess when your budget is fixed and your resources, if you know that this is going to happen on this date and time, you're kind of pre-planning, you're making sure you're efficient, you're not calling emergency call out rates, all of that lot, which I suppose has that positive effect, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So how do professionals, school business professionals, actually identify when change is needed? And I'm doing my day to day, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling there's a lot coming in. How do and I suppose that I don't know whether you've ever seen that kind of cartoon drawing where they've got people pulling a cart with square wheels, and there's a person on the side with like round ones, and they go, you need to change for this, and they're like, we can't, we're too busy. But what is the feeling, I think, that school business professionals are going to be potentially watching this, and they're going to be feeling this on a day-to-day business, that would be in your head would be the catalyst for change, where you would look up and go, do you know what? Let's stop while it feels like we're not moving forward. Actually, by stopping, by changing those wheels for square ones, for round ones, the pace in which we're going to go faster will make up all that difference for that stop.
I mean, that's really an insightful question, actually, Ryan. That I think there's a lot of triggers as to why people change. One is, I think, if you think about the cart one, which is a great analogy, if somebody was rushing past them with round wheels, I think they'd have probably stopped and look up thinking, we need round wheels. So sometimes it's knowing or realizing that everyone else is doing something different and getting a better result. That's one of the ways. The other one is as well that you're breaking your back pushing this thing and not getting anywhere, and it's the pain that makes you think there must be a better way of doing this. If, for example, you're pushing that cart and 3 of your 4 compadres leave and it's just you, then you realize this cart, I can't push this myself, something's going to have to change. And sometimes it's you got to the finish line, you look back and thought, I've lost 10,000 calories pushing this cart. I'm exhausted. There must be a better way next time I do it. So it can be a lot of reasons why people instigate change. And sometimes it can be somebody who happens to be walking past you and says, do you realize there's a better solution to this? So there's no real one size fits all. It could be for a variety of reasons. When we're talking about things like workforce census or single center record or whatever it might be around HR, it might well be that people remember the pain of last year's workforce census, think I'm not going through that again. Or it might be somebody that's going through workforce census now and thinking, this is horrible, horrible job. I can't believe I've left it to the last minute. There must be a reason for that, and make a change. Or it could be somebody coming into the organization thinking, I remember I used to do it like that. Actually, do you realize there's a better way, and it would be this? So a variety of reasons, right? No single one, I don't think.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like especially when the school business professional kind of networking groups, and I know you've been to events and I've been to events. There's a lot of that dialogue happens in those things, and I know the Education Collective, they've started to do these, these WASBM or LASBM or forums, which also that dialogue helps on there. So I think technology has almost got a role to play in the facilitation of networking of kind of school business professionals to, like you said, be able to go to the community of them and go, do you know what? There's tell me I'm not the only one who's thinking this is a ridiculous thing to be doing, and that there is an interesting or an alternative way. And okay, final question, which I ask everybody who comes on the show, but what's your predictions for school business technology over the next 3 to 5 years?
Whoa, wow. Let me just see what stocks and shares I've got in what company.
Zoom, lots of Zoom. Yeah.
I think this year it's been a fascinating year because I think it's really provided an opportunity to a lot of organizations, be they public sector, or private sector, to do things differently. We've kind of been forced into doing it, haven't we? You take meetings, for example. I know you and I used to see each other a lot around the circuit, as it were, the meetings we used to go to, the miles we used to travel. Nowadays, the default method of or mechanism for holding a meeting is via Teams, Zoom, whatever it might be. And I think that's been a fantastic step forward. It also means, I think, from our point of view, that it's much easier for schools to consume content, or for us to deliver content. It's far easier for us now to get a network of schools together for an hour in the morning over their coffee than it used to be then persuading somebody to get out to school. So I think a lot more technology around making those meetings far more viable, quick and easy. The content delivery, the content generation, I think, is going to be a big thing. And I think those schools as well that have been adapted really well are those that are already on the trajectory for changing their technology. I think I've definitely seen that from my own experience as a parent of 2 children, that schools that were already on the trajectory of investing in technology that helps remote learning, for example, or allows teachers to build creative content more easily, allows children to be supported whilst not at school, that they adapted really, really quickly to providing remote learning. So I think that's probably my prediction, is a lot more tools and resources that allow generation of engaging content, allows learning to be delivered in lots of different ways.
It was just on that point. You said you've got 2.5 million kind of issues logged in the platform, and I think that's. Do you think that's the type of thing that companies in the sector who almost have this collective oversight will be able to now facilitate? Because, I suppose if I was a school business professional, or, and it's, to be honest, if I was a customer of a supplier and they went, you know what, we have this amazing oversight of data, a view of other organizations that are all similar, doing the same thing we do. And I can predict, basically, because the amount of information that this is possibly going to be happening. And while it might not be absolutely accurate 100% for your school, because there are variable differences, what I will do is I'll just put a train of thinking in your mind that you might just keep an eye out on telltale signs for when school toilets are going to be blocked, or when there's going to be power issues, or whether there's going to be asset management. Do you know what I mean? Because you're giving them this huge kind of oversight. And whereas before, if you had to do that, and you had to run an event, you'd have to organize it, book it months in advance. It was so laborsome just to deliver, and to deliver that content.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of technology as well is going to be looking at connections between data. And again, I remember one of our earliest customers, he used to be a teacher for 30 years. And then he got into the facilities management side of one of his academies. And now he's the estates director for a 50 school MAT. And I always remember his unique insight was, I know as soon as we start to get more calls about the repairs in an area of a building, I mean, it's a simplistic example he gave. I know the teachers need some support and intervention in that area, because I know from my own experience that behavior and control and performance of the teacher has a direct impact on the site team's involvement in that area for whatever reason. So I think it's the connections between the bits of data that people are interested in. I mean, you even look at things like our HR tool that has performance with training and case management with absence. Actually, when you look at performance, case, and absence, they could all be linked. Why is a few members of your team having absences? Well, is it that they're absent for their own specific reasons, or is there actually an issue with line management control here and performance of line management? So I think that's where software technology will start to help. And by linking with things like Microsoft Power BI, which I know sounds really grand, but actually most schools have it already, you can start to really see the connections between things and see the how can you say how one set of data has a causal impact on another, and an output over here, if this has happened because this has happened. You know what I mean? There's sort of connections between things.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. Well, Adam, thank you very much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. It's always great to see you. I love the fact that you matched me with our headsets, but gone one better with a. So yeah. Listen. Thank you so much, everyone. If you've been watching today, please check out Every at We Are Every. You can follow them on Twitter. You can find them on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe. Go to YouTube. Search School Business Tech on YouTube. So hit the subscribe button and join the channel. Adam, once again, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
A pleasure, Ryan, as always. Take care.